Welcome everybody to another episode of the Checked In Podcast. Got Michael and Zac here. Let's get into it.
What will happen to Spencer Rattler? Preseason Heisman favorite Spencer Rattler has not lost a game this season, but hasn't played up to expectations and has been booed by OU fans. Things unraveled against Texas, where Rattler was benched in favor of true freshman Caleb Williams. Williams has started since and just avoided a huge upset to 38-point underdog Kansas with an insane fourth down play to seal the win. There's speculation Spencer Rattler could enter the transfer portal and join a new team. Where could he go?
Yup. I think I know where he's going. I'm not going to lie. I think I know exactly where he's going. No, I've narrowed it down to a few schools, but for those of you that don't know, Spencer Rattler in high school was on a Netflix show, QB1. He was like the most coveted recruit in probably like 10 years of football. Maybe a little less than that, because I believe there's a couple others that are in the NFL now that are like a little bit more highly recruited than him. But he's like 1 in 1,000. Generational talent type of kid, senior year of high school, number one in every major national quarterback competition. Like, the dude was great. He's been playing a little less mobile. Like, he would scramble a lot more in high school and stuff like that. I don't know if he's just trying to play it safer in college, but it seems like Caleb Williams, who was another Spencer Rattler type of player, 5-star recruit. Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma. If you guys don't know who Lincoln Riley is, you guys don't keep up with college football like that. He's like the new QB whisperer. He produced 2 back-to-back Heismans, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, probably very familiar to you guys in the NFL. Both played very great, dynamic players, very mobile, had a very great arms. Obviously, the Murray-Hopkins throw like last year in the NFL, those players are really good. And they've gone through this system that's been producing the best quarterback so far. I mean, except for last year with Alabama, Mac Jones was the best quarterback. But the system is made for quarterbacks to prosper. So now I guess we have to just answer that question. Where is he going? And is he going to stay with Oklahoma for the long haul of the rest of the season? I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
So I was looking into a little bit of Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler, right? That's how little I look. But yeah, I was looking into a little bit of his backstory. And the kid was playing on Pinnacle for his the summer league. He was a number one quarterback in high school football his freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, like killing it. And then senior year, he actually got suspended from playing, and they didn't release information as to why. But when you're in high school, to be an ineligible player in high school, there's only a few things you really can do. So they're assuming it's drugs or alcohol related. And then that ties in with him getting booed at OU, because a lot of the students were in the comment section of the YouTube video talking about, he's at parties all the time the night before, getting hammered. He comes to games with a hangover, playing shitty, and that's why they were booing him. But what I think that he's going to end up at one of the schools that gave him an offer his freshman, sophomore, junior year, which is he got UCLA when he was a freshman, and then ASU because he's from Arizona. When he was, I think, a sophomore, he got the ASU offer, and I think he might have got one more offer after that. But I honestly think he might go back to ASU because A, that's where he's from, and then B, he was training with the I think the old Cardinals quarterback coach. He's been training with him every time he's back home. And so that would just make sense for him to go back and train with an old NFL coach to up his game so that he can get playing time, really no competition, and he can just train up with an NFL coach so that he's ready to take that next step into the NFL. Because I think he definitely will make it in the NFL. You just got to get himself right.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are good landing spots for him as well too, especially Arizona State where he's from. But then again, that could be a hindrance to him because he's already from the town. I mean, most of his friends are probably at other colleges at the time, but he's from the town. he knows Phoenix, Arizona very well. He would know where to go, where to get caught up in some crap. So I think it was better for him to not maybe go back there. But the system of that offense is, again, wrapped around the quarterback like most systems are, except for a few that are more like run dominant, like Wisconsin, maybe Alabama too. You could throw that in there. I mean, Alabama's like different though, but stuff like that. I think he goes further east to maybe like a Clemson, a school that kind of has everything but a quarterback right now. Maybe Miami. De'Aaron King is going to be leaving for the NFL. He's a COVID senior, so he should have went to the NFL last year. Stay one more year to try and bring Miami something. That didn't work out. So I mean, those are two schools of opportunity. Miami's a bigger, more attractive city. I think there's a lot there: beaches, girls, parties, stuff like that. So it could be a bad decision for him. But in his mindset, I think he probably would want to go there. It's a Power 5 school. Also, I think another good landing spot too. Another quarterback whisperer in Jimbo Fisher over at Texas A&M. Oklahoma and Texas have been confirmed to leave the Big 12 and go there. So I believe that he'd want to get that revenge on his old school, transferring out. They're definitely going to play, Oklahoma. They're definitely going to play Texas. Those in-state games or neighboring state games. If not, I believe then if he doesn't go there, I think he might go where two schools that have been brought to my attention, I think, are really good landing spots too, that are getting new coaches next year. We have LSU and USC, both pro-style type of quarterbacks that come out of there. Joe Burrow came out of there, obviously. USC has a handful of great talent that's came out of there. Sam Darnold, Mark Sanchez, just to say a couple more recent names that you can hear about or probably have heard of. I think maybe Georgia might be a good spot too. He might have to battle it out there. But I mean, all the guys that are in these spots right now, he's already beaten them before in the past in training camps for QBs or other QB camps coming out of high school. The only thing the other quarterbacks would have against him is they know the systems there at their colleges. Right. Besides the senior quarterbacks that are in place right now, a lot of people are saying BYU is a good one. BYU's independent, so it might be good because the strength of schedule can always vary with the independent school. Somebody even threw out Notre Dame because Notre Dame's quarterback isn't bad. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback, but the coach of Notre Dame is the best Notre Dame coach in history. So, I mean, why wouldn't you go there? Notre Dame's always under the NFL's radar, always under the college football playoff radar. So I think he wants to go to a playoff school potential, or a school that has potential in at least getting him to some type of conference champion. I don't think he wants to go to a school that won't give him a chance to at least have some conference championship, some bragging right, because the kid's cocky, right? He's arrogant, kind of Johnny Manziel-ish as far as, overall demeanor and, kind of personality, just like a, spoiled brat on campus. Not only that, you have to also take into thought here that these kids are also going to these bigger name schools for the sole purpose that they can market their name with the new rule that's been passed, where they can make money off their likeness and image. So Spencer Rattler already at Oklahoma, he's already making money off of his name. He can sell autographs, all this stuff. But with the fan base not really feeling him, with the country not really feeling him there, especially the students would be the ones that would be getting his autographs and other stuff like that outside of the local fans. I mean, it's best to leave because now you're a damaged product in your environment. Yeah. And it would take a bunch of wins and stats to kind of bring you back up to par versus another school that's in need of a quarterback, and especially in a system or in a college where they are struggling at that area, such as Clemson. I mean, USC, I think, is a better spot. LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, too, is kind of struggling because last year they were like a one-loss team. The only team they lost to was Alabama. They already have 2 losses on their record. They did beat Alabama, though, but they already have 2 losses on their record right now. So their hopes of any SEC wins. Like right now, they're just focused on winning their bowl game at the end of the season, trying to scrape up some wins, some more wins in the SEC, to try and just get at least a closer seating to the top. They won't ever go to the SEC championship game this year. I say Clemson and Miami, more Clemson because you got Dabo Swinney. He's got championships. He's got rings. You know what I mean? He's already on the up and up. He knows, he has great relationships with the NFL.
Yeah.
Clemson's already a target school for a lot of players right now. And their 5-star quarterback did the same thing that Spencer Rattler did, was just choke, except for at least Spencer, they were still winning. Like Oklahoma's undefeated. So I think that Clemson would be a good spot. It's not in a crazy big town. It's not, anywhere. I mean, it's South Carolina. I mean, you got good weather there. He's used to the heat of Arizona. So, I mean, I doubt he'd go anywhere north like Notre Dame. But, I mean, that was like a shot in the dark. But what I've seen people were saying, I think Clemson's a great fit. I think USC, he's a pro-style quarterback. USC always runs a pro-style, really, no matter who's the new coach there. That's just what, that's their bread and butter as a system. So, I mean, the pro-style, he's a pro-style kind of guy. He's not too scrambly, but you can scramble in their offense. Not only that, they do have one of the top receivers in NCAA right now. I forget his name, but he's number 6 on their team. He's going to be there for a while. They typically always get really good wide receivers. Like Juju Smith-Schuster, when he was there, he was good. He left there after 2 years. He was really good at college. Roy Woods from the Rams was there. Same time Juju Smith-Schuster was there. They were all on a really good team for USC. So I think that's another one. UCLA is on the bounce back right now, and they're kind of in a rebuild mode. So I think they are getting their offense together. They have put up a fight. They beat LSU this year, which is hard to do. I mean, even if LSU's having a tough year. But they beat LSU. It's DBU. You know what I mean? Like, this is, a thing with this school that they can recruit the best defensive backs and then push them into the NFL. And a lot of the best safeties and corners right now are from LSU. So I think, there's some competition for him in the Pac-12. I think, like I said, Clemson is probably the best one. The ACC is up for grabs right now. We have Wake Forest, the best ACC conference record right now belongs to Wake Forest, who is like a Vanderbilt or just, the Detroit Lions of college football in the Power 5 conference. Like, they can barely beat regular non-Power 5 teams when they do go up Power 5. They're, I think, one of the only programs that have a losing overall record historically. So, I mean, like, yeah, Wake Forest, I mean, they came out of nowhere and just are beating everybody in the ACC. ACC, it looks like, is in a total rebuild mode. So I think Spencer Rattler could go there, show off. It's still Power 5 football there. I think he can make things happen, make plays, especially if he does go to a Clemson school where there really isn't anybody, they don't have the depth as far as like the competitive depth to compete with his talent. I mean, he's not a horrible guy. Like I said, it's probably, like you said, I should say, it's probably just his habits that are hindering him. Like, he's getting hammered, he's staying up late. You're not going to play a good ball game if you're half drunk and tired the whole time.
Do you think that, because there's a lot of speculation around his ability to lead a team, and as a quarterback, you are the leader of your team. There's a lot of speculation in his ability to lead a team just because when he's on the sideline, he's not interested in the game. He's not showing any interest in the game. When they had that win against, I believe it was Kansas or Texas, I forgot which one. He left while the whole team was celebrating the victory. He left and went to the locker room on his own. He doesn't seem like he's interested in anybody else doing. He doesn't seem interested in the team doing well if he's not a part of it. So do you think that have any say in where he goes because maybe someone doesn't want to deal with a player like that?
I think if he goes to a spot where, like I said, in situations where they're struggling in the quarterback position, where he has pretty much just transferring into a starting job where he will be the center of that offense, I don't think that's an issue. But then again, I mean, if he is a Manziel type of guy, I mean, Johnny Manziel pretty much canceled himself out of every major professional football league in America. Canadian, NFL, the XFL, like everything. Like he's gotten a numerous amount of shots. And I mean, I think that's something that he can definitely learn from as far as Spencer Rattler and Johnny Manziel's situation.
Didn't
But
he
I mean, I don't think
come off the field though in that one game? Wasn't he injured? Didn't he get injured and come off?
Spencer.
Yeah.
Which game?
I think he got injured in that Oklahoma game, and then they put in the second string, and then they've just been starting the second string since then.
Oh, and Texas?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they yanked him. I think he threw a pick, and then they put him back in, and he was just like playing bad, and they just switched him out. I don't think he was actually injured. He might have like acted like he was injured because they probably were telling him like, "Yo, you're gonna get out this game if we have somebody else. You know, you mess up again. Like we cannot lose to Texas after." Yeah, I mean, like we can't lose to Texas, bro. Like it just can't happen. So, it was a super big game for them every year. It is. But I think he was fine. I mean, he didn't show any signs of injury. Another thing is too, like people were tripping over his Instagram bio being changed from like OU quarterback, and like then there's rumors saying that he cleaned his locker out and was like, basically I think he's just being like a pouty, like immature brat. Like, he's like kicking his legs on the ground and doing all this, because he's in timeout. And like the coach is just like, bro, like this can be your team again. Like Lincoln Riley's made it very clear, like nobody has secured the starting position permanently for the season. Like we don't have our number one QB. We don't have a QB1 in this locker room. Like it's up for grabs. Pardon?
It's just a shootout. Whoever's playing.
Yeah, it's a shootout. Like whoever
better.
Yeah, whoever's playing better that week will start. I mean, and I don't think he's really motivated because he knows like, okay, this team isn't my team. Like he just is disowning it because he knows it's not working out in his favor like a spoiled brat would. I mean, like you got everything you need there with you. You got the QB whisperer, the current best quarterback coach in college football.
Yeah. You
have a great talent around you of wide receivers, running backs, like you name it, they're there.
Yeah.
Offensive coordinators, great there. I mean, like everything you can wish for is for an Oklahoma quarterback is at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Or any quarterback in college.
I think honestly for him, it's more so just he's not used to that. Because like his story, his like backstory coming up into this is literally like he's a freshman. The senior that was playing like the starting quarterback on the varsity team left to go to college. So like there was no competition. He was playing Pinnacle in the summer, and he is a great quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. Yeah. He can throw really well. He's been compared to Mahomes mad times. And so like he's never really had to compete for that starting quarterback position because there's never been anybody who can really hold a candle to him. And then now you got him at Oklahoma where it's like, yeah, the quarterback now isn't as good as you, but he's still very efficient and he still can get the job done very well. But in high school, he was the number one in the entire country. All 3 years he was playing, and then senior year he couldn't play because of whatever happened.
Yeah.
But he's never had to compete for a starting position, so he's always been the guy on the team. Now it's like, oh, you can win without me, so you don't need me. So now he's like, oh, shit, so I'm not that guy on this team. I can be, but I got to work for it, whereas before I never had to work for it. I just was. Yeah,
he's getting that humbling chapter in his life right now where he's just like, super cocky, super arrogant, like I'm the best. Who's better than me? Haha, that's a joke. Nobody can be better than me. Like I've been the best. I mean, he was a pretty good. I think out of all the freshmen last year, he was the best quarterback. Which says a lot because you're in. It's hard to do that in college as a freshman. Be the best freshman, quarterback in your class. Not only that, I think another thing too that a lot of people don't realize is like this kid could literally change things around and maybe stay at Oklahoma, especially knowing that he has competition. I mean, he could rise up or he could do the easy thing and switch over. But I think, honestly, Lincoln Riley loves him as a quarterback. I mean, definitely is like, he speaks highly of him, even during his little pouty stages or whatever. He still speaks highly of him. He still is like, yeah, I mean, we love that we have two that can do the job that we need to get done. And it just shows that we have a good team. I mean, he always like kind of turns it around as like there's a silver lining in all this crap.
I mean, he put his name on Rattler coming there. Like he literally handpicked Rattler to come there. Like he knew that was the guy. So now he's got to be like, he can't even. They made it so that Oklahoma can't do pressers.
Yeah.
So like they're just like no one's talking until he's good. No one's talking.
Yeah.
So, like,
they even gave him.
They made a day out. Big deal out of him coming to the school. So now it's like, well, shit. Now he's pouting and he's acting like a brat. So now nobody's talking to the press till we get this straightened out.
Yeah. And I think that's a smart move by Lincoln Riley. He gave him a day off too, where he didn't have to come to practice or like show up to anything if he didn't want to kind of give him time to like I guess gather himself.
Yeah.
And I think like that's really kind of unheard of. Like usually you want him there, but I mean he already has a year in the system, so like he knows off. And I think one day wouldn't hurt to have him take off. But that's just more time for the other guy behind you to kind of kill it. You know what I mean? Like that's just more time for him to get more chemistry with the team, come in there, build the leadership that he needs to as a quarterback. I think that's another thing too. Like I don't think he's not a good leader. I mean, leading by example, I probably wouldn't say that, but I'm saying as far as like the offense listens to him. Offense knows what he wants to do. They know his tendencies when he would scramble around out the pocket a little bit. Wide receivers are there, lined up. They know where he's going to throw it. They know where he's comfortable at on the field. His offensive coordinator, coaches, all that stuff, they all know what comfortable throws he's okay with making and all that stuff. And he did still make some dots. Like, he's making dots down the field.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at his first, I think, 6 games, even before Texas, every game they played has been close this year. But, I mean, like, if you look at his highlight reel and, like, last year and this year, he can dot the ball up by far. Like, he's definitely advanced as far as throwing, reading coverages and stuff like that. I just think, like, he probably feels very confident in his team and his situation where, like, no matter what happens, OU is going to win this football game. And, like, I think, especially with him being there, as long as he's there, and it's just, like, now that he's, like I said, having the humbling chapter, it's like, bro, they're still going to win regardless without me. That just shows how good of a team OU is without, a definite starting quarterback, which is a key position. I mean, like, yeah, you have your defense. I mean, Big 12 defenses aren't even the best, to be honest. But, I mean, you have your defense, you have your offense. Your offense can still produce without you. That's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You really don't have that. That just shows you that you really don't have much to do as a quarterback in that system because the rest of the offense will take care of you as far as being
want to come back stronger, honestly.
Yeah, that should. Like, I have a great team. I have a great squad. We're the best in our league, and we can make something out of this, maybe get a playoff appearance, blah, 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 blah. I mean, they definitely are the favorites as far as being one of the top teams in the country to make it. Typically, it's like an independent school like Notre Dame that would get the other nod outside of the Power 5 school, but you don't have any real dominant force in the Pac-12. You don't have really any dominant force coming out of the ACC besides Wake Forest, which they wouldn't get the nod from the committee, I don't think. But I think, like, honestly, there might be 2 SEC teams again this year in the college football playoff. If I'm pretty sure even if Alabama does lose to Georgia, Alabama still will get the, like, where Alabama we've been in every playoff since, Yeah, I mean, I think they missed one playoff a few years ago. I mean, like, yeah, but that's it. And that's like the year LSU went all the way. They lost to LSU and Bama that year. So, like, bro, or LSU and Auburn that year. So, like, Bama was, like, out of it. But they're like, we're Alabama. Like, before there was this playoff, we've, like, they're the only team to play in national championship team, in an international championship game against their conference champion. You know what I mean? Like, they played against LSU, and then they shut out LSU, like, 21-zip. in the national championship game. You know what I mean? After just losing to them like 2 weeks ago in the SEC conference championship. So I mean, it's like Alabama's, especially with Nick Saban too, like there's no way they're going to be left out unless they lose like 2 games or 3 games. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like when they play Georgia, if they play Georgia in the SEC championship game, like they typically do, I think Georgia is definitely the best team in the country right now, especially their defense. I think they will beat them, and then Alabama still gets into the playoff. And then you have Oklahoma, and then a Big Ten school, whoever wins the Big Ten. I think Michigan will win the Big Ten out this year. Ohio State's in rebuild mode. Michigan State and Michigan play Saturday. So, I mean, we'll see who wins that game. I'm pretty sure Michigan is definitely the favorite in that game. Another team that hasn't lost. So, like, Oklahoma, if you transfer from Oklahoma right now, let's say they do get the Big 12 championship, you're not participating in that. You're not getting it, even getting the ring for it. I mean, you've played half the season starting. So, I mean, you definitely deserve the ring. Yeah, and if there's an injury, if he's ever injured, you're next man up. You know what I mean? If Caleb Williams ever gets injured, you're next man up, and it's back to your team, your offense.
Into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, he'd be dumb to transfer out right now. Even I say the safest time to transfer out would be bowl season if you don't get in the playoff. Just don't play that bowl game. Preserve your body for whatever team or next season you're gonna get. I mean, then after that, I mean, let's say they do get in the playoff. I'm holding on to the reins until at least, if we get to a national championship, I don't think, they'd be able to beat I don't think they get that far, to be honest. I don't think they'd make it into the national championship. But let's say, I don't think so, no. I think the Big Ten schools are too strong right now. If they do have to play an SEC team, which they will, because they'll be seeded number 4, so it'd be the number 1 or number 2 team in the country. And then I'm leaving out Cincinnati, too. Cincinnati could very well end the season undefeated. Then you have a Big Ten school, 2 SEC schools. And if Oklahoma does win out the rest of their season, they might be number 4, or the Big Ten school will be number 5. So, I mean, we got definitely Georgia, Cincinnati right now are number 1, number 2. Alabama, I believe, is number 3. But, yeah, so, like, you have those 2 schools right now. And Cincinnati is not a Power 5 school, but they did give Georgia a run for the money last year. They lost in the bowl game, but they played Georgia pretty hard. So they've proven they can compete with one of the best programs in the country and from one of the best conferences in the country. For them not to be a Power 5 school, they've got a great thing going there. So I mean, like, you got to look at it like this: is Oklahoma gonna even be in the college football playoff? If they're not, you're not gonna stay there for that week. Those extra couple weeks after, unless you're deemed a starter. You know what I mean? Unless you're deemed a starter. And then I feel like even if you do get a starting job for Spencer Rattler, I mean, I'm still leaving Oklahoma next year regardless, just because Caleb Williams is not going to just allow the team to not be under his, control in a way as far as being a starter. Like, and you can beat him out. You beat the guy out before. So another thing, too, that he's being compared to Patrick Mahomes, he could go to Texas Tech. With that being an air raid offense, they barely ever run the ball. You're throwing the ball 40 to – I would say – I don't want to say 40. I would say you're throwing the ball at least 20 to 30 more times a game than any other program in the country.
Right.
They typically always have a quarterback in the top 10, at least for passing yards, right? Yeah. Every year, just because that air raid offense is like you literally live off of passing the ball. Like, that's the only way the offense will move the ball, unless they have like a freakish running back that can. But even him, he's still getting put out in the 5 wide, and he's still getting the ball thrown to him too. So I mean, like,
honestly,
that's
that
where Patrick Mahomes came
for him to be.
Yeah, and it's in Texas. It's still in the Big 12. I mean, you still get a chance to maybe play Oklahoma next year, and hopefully try to beat them. Which Texas Tech is that type of team. They can beat some of the best teams sometimes in the country, and other times they lose to the worst teams in the country. So it's like they're like a middle of the pack team.
But if you could bring that to a point where they're like a feared team, which he can do, I feel like he has the ability to do that. So it's just a matter of being like being that guy on the team. And he can do that with Oklahoma. But like you said, if he was to go to Texas, where they're just throwing the ball primarily,
Yeah.
he's got an arm, he's got legs.
Yeah.
He's a really good quarterback. So if he was to go to that school, he'd be solid. Like I saw him. There was a highlight video where he like effortlessly bombed a 40-yard like dime to one of his quarterbacks. Like insane. Like no effort. Literally just like no pullback. Just like from here and just threw it. And the thing went 40 straight in stride with the wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, and then that's another thing too. Like, if you want to rake up and have like some crazy stats, and you're already a talented, like, thrower of the football, Texas Tech is that school. I mean, that's where like some of the underrated high school quarterbacks go. They know they're in a system where they're gonna get looks from the NFL because their numbers say so. You know what I mean? Like, numbers do all the talking there at that school for that quarterback in that air raid offense. So I mean, Texas Tech would be, I think, a great spot for him too. They're a little bit more lenient as far as like his lifestyle. I don't think they'd ever really care as long as he's there and he could throw the ball like 100 times a game. You know what I mean?
Which he expects to do.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, the offense is solely and completely dependent on you as that quarterback because you are the only one that's going to move the ball for them.
That's what he needs.
Yeah.
To prosper for real. Like he can't have like even remote competition like how he has now. Like he's that like that cocky player. Like he doesn't want to even feel threatened. So like if he's on a team that's like, no, you're our guy, you're the quarterback, you're our leader, and I want you to just bomb it down the field every chance you get, that's where he would thrive because that's what he was doing in high school.
Yeah, for sure. And then I also think too, with him in his projection to the NFL, like some people are already way too early saying stuff. I mean, some people are saying, hey, if he gets it together, he could still make it to the NFL. He could still be on an NFL roster, possibly start. I think so too. But my other thing too is like the major thing that he has to change is his mentality and his attitude. And if you can't change those two things in the NFL with that type of demeanor and attitude towards playing, you're going to do the same thing you're doing now. Yeah. You're going to be the best backup quarterback in the league. You're basically just going to be another Fitzpatrick, yeah. Except for Fitzpatrick is pretty humble. Like he's a pretty humble dude. Yeah. And I mean, he's pretty smart. Now he's a starter, but like I think, he's the best backup you could ask for. Like any team, for a decade, he's been the best backup. He's been to every NFL team. I think his whole career. Yeah. He's beaten every NFL team too, which is hard to do, especially as a backup quarterback. Like it's unheard of. So I think, you can definitely he's still a future for him professionally. I just think right now he has to look at which team is going to give me the best market for my likeness and image. What team definitely needs a quarterback for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. What team also has a best coach or quarterback coach that can help me develop my game and pretty much shit on Oklahoma or make Oklahoma regret losing me, which I think they already would because they brought him in. He started right away. He was the face of their franchise as far as like players wise. I think honestly he's gonna be somewhere at a Texas school. I doubt it'll be the Longhorns, like some people are saying. Like I'm pretty sure he could be that petty and transfer there. And then Steve Sarkeesian also. If you guys don't know who Steve Sarkeesian is, he was just the Alabama offensive coordinator last year for the past couple years. Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, Mac Jones. He's coached all three of those guys up. He's also was Reggie Bush's coach in college at USC. He was part of that USC, dominant team. Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, multiple national championship appearances. So he was definitely there, doing a great job. He's had some alcohol issues, whatever. That's why he's been bouncing around different teams. Finally got a program back under his feet, under his hands and his grasp at Texas. I think it's a great opportunity for him because he is a great quarterbacks coach. He was part of the reason why, besides Lane Kiffin, why these quarterback coaches are these great quarterbacks and wide receivers were coming out of USC because of his amazing ability to create offensive schemes. especially in that pro style type of offense. So I think, really you gotta think of those three things: coach, overall market brand of the school, of the team, location definitely maybe can play a bigger part. Like if you go to a bigger city like LA, USC, UCLA, Miami, those ones are going to have a bigger impact. Or I mean, Austin, Texas too. I mean, that's where the Longhorns are. So I mean, like, that they have their own football network. Like they have a whole network dedicated just to the Longhorns. So I mean, like they're definitely a great market, one of the biggest markets, most profitable franchises in college football right now, regardless of how they play. To be honest, so I mean, you got a couple opportunities there. Texas Tech, I think, also would be great. Like I said, just because of the system and he can, regardless if the team is good, because the team is never really that good every year. They've probably had a couple years where they were really competitive, but because of that quarterback, they always put up passing numbers. So I mean, that's definitely something to take in consideration there. So based off of all of that, who's your last final decision on where do you think he's going to go?
I would say
one school.
I would say it makes sense for him to go to Texas just because of the pure fact that he can be that number one quarterback. I think even if he was to go to the even if he was to go to the Longhorns, because the Longhorns are a great team. I mean, they're a team that's winning 2-3 quarters and then just can't finish the game. It's not like they're like a shitty team that can't play.
Yeah.
They're playing the game and winning a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just can't close out. So I feel like if he was to go to Longhorns, that'd be great if he can get the team on a 4-quarter kind of game. Like you heard, and actually
just be clutch,
yeah. Or if he was to go to, like you said, if he was to go to Texas and just ball out and be able to
Texas
ball
Tech,
out all the time, I think either of those would make the most sense. I thought ASU, but honestly, it makes more sense for him to be going to a school where they need him, A, and B, his quarterback style can actually be appreciated and utilized.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to say, for me, the team that I think that he'll go to, I think he does go to a Texas school. I honestly think Texas A&M, they did just recruit a 5-star quarterback that confirmed his commitment and everything. So, I mean, that might scare him away a little bit, but with Jimbo Fisher, he wants the more seasoned veteran at quarterback. Typically he won't choose a true freshman. I don't think he's ever chosen a true freshman to start besides Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston won the Heisman that year. So I mean, like, he's not going to just he's not just going to make that harsh decision like, we got this random guy that never played college football before, and we're going to just throw him in over this kind of seasoned veteran who maybe just has a few off the field issues and on the field, attitude or whatever. But then again, Jimbo Fisher is you will be humbled under Jimbo Fisher. He's not the type of quarterback like Lincoln Riley is. Like, he's not the cool dad type of coach.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's the in your face. You're going to do what the hell I say, and you're not going to like how I talk to you, and I don't care. At the end of the day, we're here to win football games, and he's super disciplined. He has that team. Like, Texas A&M was a perfect fit for him. He has that team like militant. Like, they do everything he says. Like, that's not the quarterback that, coach that's going to let the quarterback talk shit to him and like badmouth him. If he sees even one flaking ounce of weakness or instability in Spencer Rattler, he's canning him and he's just developing the next guy.
Which I think, honestly, he needs that kind of coach to be able to go into the NFL. Because in the NFL, you're just getting dropped.
Yeah, you just get dropped, or you're going to the practice squad and another team might pick you up, or they might not, and you're going from being eligible to make millions to like only about $600,000 to $800,000 a year. I mean, it's still not bad.
Only.
It's still not bad, right? But I'm saying, compared to like the real quarterback contracts, I mean, you want to make at least a $10 million a year or $10 million 4-year contract, 3-year contract, where you're making a few $1 million a year. So I think Texas A&M logically would be a better decision. As far as for him on the outside looking in, I think he will choose School with a new coach like USC or LSU though, or maybe Miami where he can have more fun in a bigger, more popular city where there's just a lot of fun shit to do.
Get into trouble all over again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what Miami's football players do the best though. They get in trouble. They're notorious. Well, they used to be notorious for like doing dumb shit. I mean, like, come on now. But yeah, that's bananas. So I just want to say thank you guys for checking in with us and staying checked in. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know where you think Spencer Rattler is gonna go. Definitely check us out on our TikTok. We post a bunch of content there. Instagram at the Checked In Podcast. Spotify, we're on Spotify, Twitch. Like us on Facebook, the Checked In Podcast. All that stuff. We're on every single social media platform you can think of. So definitely go on there, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what's going on, and you've officially been checked in.